Erev Shabbat Shalom Rabotai. We are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Bava Kamma. We are up to Perek Tet Mishnah Bet. Today's Mishnayot should be Le'ilun Nishmat Neria ben Svetlana Ranbai V'Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov Chana Bad Miriam Sason ben Ryan Yoshua ben Shifra Menuchatam beGan Eden Amen, and Avdil ben Chaim L'Chaim v'Darefua Shelemav Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, and the Achlama Meira of Binyamin Or Tzion Chai ben Dvorah. In the cases of this Mishnah, the stolen item undergoes a change that decreases its value. Gazal be'ema v'izkina, if someone stole an animal and it became old. Avadim v'izkinu, or if he stole Canaanite slaves and they became old. Mishalem kishat gzilai, pays according to their value at the time of the robbery. Since the stolen animal or slaves change physically by growing old and weak, the robber acquires them. He pays what they were worth at the time of the robbery when they were young and strong. It is a significant change for slaves or animals to grow old since they can no longer work or have children. This is such a great change that the thief acquires the slave even though there was no change in name. Before he was called a slave and now he is also called a slave. The next Tana disagrees regarding slaves. Rabbi Meir Omer. Rabbi Meir says, Ba'avadim Omer lo resh shelcha lefanecha. In the case of slaves, the robber can say to the original owner, behold, what is yours is here before you, take him back as he is. According to Rabbi Meir, it is not legally possible to steal a slave and acquire him. Rather, he remains the property of his owner. Rabbi Meir derives this law from verses in the Torah. Therefore, even after the slave grows old, the thief returns him and need not pay for the loss of value. And the Rav does tell us, V'alacha ke Rabbi Meir, the Halacha does follow the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Now, other cases in which stolen property went down in value. Gazal matbeh v'nizdak, if someone stole a coin and it cracked. Perot v'ilkivu, or fruits and they rotted. Yain v'chemitz, or wine and it soured. Mishalem kishat gzilai, pays according to what it was worth at the time of the robbery. The article has changed enough for it to become the thief's property. He therefore keeps it and pays the owner its original value. All of these changes are easy to recognize. The crack in the coin and the rotten fruit are clearly visible. And the souring of wine can easily be detected through its change in smell and taste. Now, the Mishnah's case of rotting fruit is where all the fruit rotted. If just some rotted, this is not considered a change because it is common for fruits to spoil, as the Tosfot Yom Tov explains. Now, in the following cases, a stolen item undergoes a change that is not obvious. Matbeh v'nifsal, if he stole a coin and it became disqualified, meaning the local people stopped accepting it as money. After the thief stole the coin, it stopped being used in the place where the owner lived, but it was still used in other places. The coin is not considered to have changed because the owner can take it somewhere else and spend it there. Terumah v'nitmet, or he stole terumah and it became tameh, which makes it forbidden to be eaten. The Torah forbids everyone, even a kohen, to eat terumah that is tameh. Nevertheless, since a change cannot be seen, it is not considered a change that makes the food the property of the thief. Chametz v'avar alav Pesach, or he stole chametz and it was with him during Pesach, therefore becoming permanently forbidden. Chametz that was in the possession of a Jew during Pesach is rabbinically forbidden even after Pesach is over, as the Mishnah says in Pesachim chapter 2, Mishnah 2. Here too the robber does not acquire it since the change cannot be seen. Be'ema v'ne'evda ba'havera, or he stole an animal and a sin was performed with it such that it may no longer be used for an offering. For example, it was worshipped as an idol, which makes it unfit to be an altar offering. Or it became disqualified from being offered on the temple altar because it developed a blemish. However, the blemish cannot be seen easily. For example, a cataract formed in its eye. Or it was being taken out to be stoned because it killed a person and the court condemned it to death. An animal that killed a person is put to death, as we discussed earlier in chapter 4, Mishnah 5-8. Once it has been condemned, no one may have any benefit from it. Omer lo haresh shelcha lefanecha, the robber can say to the original owner, behold, what is yours is here before you, take it back as it is. In all these cases, where the change is not obvious, the item is not considered to have changed to the extent that it becomes the robber's property. The robber can therefore return the article in its current state, and he is not obligated to pay for its loss of value. And that is end of Mishnah Bet. Mishnah Gimel discusses the laws of a craftsman who damaged an item that he was hired to make or repair. Natan le'umanin nitaken v'kilkilu. If someone gave wood to craftsmen to improve and make it into a utensil, and they made it into a utensil, but then they ruined it. Chayvin l'shalem, they are obligated to pay the value of the utensil rather than the value of the wood they were given, because it was the utensil that they damaged. So again, the case is you gave wood to a craftsman to improve and make it into a utensil. They made it into a utensil, but then they ruined it. The Mishnah says they're obligated to pay the value of the utensil rather than the value of the wood they were given, again, because it was the utensil that they damaged. It could have been thought that when a craftsman improves something, the value of the improvement belongs to him until he is paid. If so, the craftsman in the Mishnah's case would own the difference in value between the wood and the finished utensil. So when he broke the utensil, it would be his loss and he would not have to pay the owner for it. He would pay only for the wood itself. The Mishnah teaches that this is not true. Any improvement made by a craftsman immediately becomes the property of the owner, and he must therefore pay the owner for the damage to the finished utensil. Mishnah 1 taught that if a thief stole wood and made it into utensil, he does not have to return the utensil because it is not what he stole. Rather, he may keep the utensil and pay only for the wood. That law, though, applies only to a thief who took the wood for himself and not to a craftsman who works for the owner and never intended to steal. A craftsman does not acquire what he was given even after it changes completely. In the next cases, a craftsman was hired to repair a broken object. Natan lecharash shida teva umigdal letaken. If one gave a carpenter a carriage, the wooden section of a carriage where a woman would sit while riding, a box or a closet to fix, v'kinkel, and he ruined it, chayav l'shalem, he is obligated to pay the value of the object that he was given, since that is what he damaged. Now, this ruling seems unnecessary because the Mishnah already taught that a craftsman must pay for breaking a utensil that he is working on. The Tana adds this case in order to imply that there is a difference between the Mishnah's two cases. While the second case is where a craftsman repairs a broken utensil, like the Mishnah itself states, the first case is where he makes a new one. From there, we learn that even where a craftsman makes a new utensil, he does not acquire the value of the improvements that he made, and so he must pay for breaking it. Another situation in which a worker is hired to do a job, if a builder accepts to take down a wall, and he broke the stones or caused damage with them, for example, they fell on people passing by, he is obligated to pay for the damage to the stones or the damage caused by the stones. When he agreed to take down the wall, it was understood that he would keep the stones intact so that they could be used in the future. He must therefore pay for damaging them. He is also liable for the damage done by the stones because by agreeing to do the job, he accepted responsibility to prevent any resulting damage. Since the builder is responsible to prevent damage, it is only he and not the owner of the wall who must pay for the damage done by the falling stones. And that is the Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Everybody should have a Erev Shabbat Shalom. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.